Each branch has been asked to share a story that they remember about Generation 2, or maybe they experienced directly with Generation 2, and that would be one of our 9 ancestors. Whether it's Humboldt or Darwin or Alice, Gertrude, Maud. So we're going to call each generation. Don't feel obligated. Some of you have already kind of signed up. And take 3 to 4 minutes if you can and share your story. We also have 2 videos that have come in from Generation 6. I believe both of them are in Generation 6. They could not join us this weekend. And I don't know if you remember, we put out an all call for those young people who are starting their careers. We wanted to hear from them too, even if they couldn't join us. So they're very short videos, and I'll intersperse them to kind of break up the live storytelling. So, without further ado, I'm going to try and go in order, if I remember. So I may get out of line occasionally, so just keep me in line. We'll start with Nona Casad White's branch. And I don't know if Louise, you're the only representative here from that branch, if there's anything you want to share that you've heard.
I really don't have anything.
Nothing? Okay. That's okay.
I think the keeper of all the stories passed away years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know.
If anyone in her family knew, that son has already passed away.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
They lived in California, so I didn't hear too much about all the relatives, or they lived in California.
Right. Louise is saying that most of Nona White's family lived in California, and she's returned to the El Paso area along with your sister, but there's no one really that has the stories any longer. So, all right, and that's one reason we're doing this. That's okay. That's okay. So, Jenny Casad Lane was next. And Ed Lorenzen is going to share with us.
I wanted to share a story not about the Jenny Lane line, but about Darwin. You all know the story about Darwin. It was told this morning by Dr. Hendricks. I'd like to talk about the judge that presided at the grand jury proceeding, and most likely at the trial itself. His name was Edward Lewis Medler. He was the district judge for the 3rd District out of Las Cruces. He was a circuit judge and also had responsibilities for going to Alamogordo, Carrizozo, and Esperanza up in Torrance County as part of his circuit. He was my grandfather on my mother's side. His name was Edward Lewis Medler. He was a Mason. He was the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of the Territory of New Mexico from 1910 to 1911. And the high point of his career was presiding at the trial of the Pancho Villa Raiders 100 years ago this year. I am writing a book about him. The title of the book will be called The Hanging Judge.
Is there anyone else? Anyone else from Jenny's branch? You bet. You bet, Khadija.
I don't really know much about her. I never personally met her, although she was alive after I was born. But things that I heard about her from the family, I did hear the story that you had written in your book about her trying to attend Billy the Kid's trial, and they didn't think it was suitable for ladies, and she was turned away. Also, it was said that she was very involved in politics and quite opinionated about that, and I think I probably would have enjoyed meeting her if I was a little bit older.
Neat. Thank you. Hum Mandel has a Jenny story.
Jenny was a favorite of Thomas, they said, and that he had a private tutor for her, and I guess a governess, and the governess went running to Mr. Casad one day saying, Mr. Casad, Jenny just threw an inkwell at me. And he said, "Miss Jones, you'll just have to learn to duck."
Any other Jenny stories? Okay, before we move on to Maud.
Archie's gonna do more.
Okay, Archie
Okay.
McLaughlin Kindler is going to come on up front. She's going to tell us a story or two about Maud.
I personally knew my great-grandmother because she lived during the time that I was probably from elementary school and died just before I graduated from high school. So we had pretty regular contact with her, and my sister and brother are here. And one story that I remember that my mom always told about Grandmother Maud was she was a very determined, independent woman. And this is a perfect example of her independence. If you go north of Hatch and a little bit west, there is a prominent peak called Cook's Peak. And Grandmother, living in Mesilla, had a sister that was teaching in Georgetown, which is now a ghost town. But she missed her sister so much, she wanted to see her. So she left early in the morning on her mule and rode by herself from Mesilla to Georgetown using Cook's Peak as her guide. So I thought that was a good story to remember. And then my brother just reminded me of another one. I was raised in Silver City, and we would come to El Paso to do our shopping and orthodontics and that kind of thing. And we would always go back through the valley and stop and see the Bill Mandels, the Humboldt Mandels, and my great-grandmother Maud. And during one of the trips back home, we spent the night at Grandmother Maud's house. And she was very she was hard of hearing. She had hearing aids, but she also had pretty serious eye problems. And so when she complained about something, it had to be something pretty serious because she was used to dealing with hardship. But she kept telling my mother that her back was hurting her, and she didn't know what was causing it, but she kept pointing to this place on her back, and my mom questioned her about this and that, and she couldn't account for it. So that night, some of us, I think, got to sleep in Grandmother's bed, and during the night, we found why Grandmother was having a pain in her back. Her false teeth were in the bed.
Okay, I'm going to insert a video here because it is Archie's son who is in this video. Jess Kindler is his name, and he is currently living in Indonesia with his wife and children. And he produced this on behalf of the Wharton School of Business out of the University of Pennsylvania. And he talks about his master's degree from Wharton. That's why they asked him to do it. But he talks a lot about the company that he works for, and he does talk about his family. I noticed that it was when they were living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that this was produced. But it's just about over 3 minutes, and it gives us a little insight into what the future generations are doing. And I'm hoping to get the audio to work, but I think if I bring the microphone forward, it's going to give me feedback. If not, this will be turned up high enough, I think. Let me try one more time. Maybe it's my necklace.
especially the one in San Francisco, consisted of people that were involved in totally different businesses than what I was doing at the time. So I really felt like it'd be an excellent chance for me to stretch my knowledge, and I wanted to gain something from my classmates. Atlas Copco, and the operation that I'm managing is a company that sells primarily drilling equipment, diamond drilling, exploration, mining, oil and gas.
Sorry, guys.
We lost it.
Yeah. I was trying to get audio for you, but I think I disconnected. Thank you. Didn't think about that, but now I've disconnected. The younger generation, thank goodness.
I was right there, didn't you?
Did I disconnect from here? Full screen.
Working on it. 3 minutes to be done downstairs.
The Wharton program, especially the one in San Francisco, consisted of people that were involved in totally different businesses than what I was doing at the time. So I really felt like it'd be an excellent chance for me to stretch my knowledge, and I wanted to gain something from my classmates. Atlas Copco, and the operation that I'm managing is a company that sells primarily drilling equipment, diamond drilling, exploration, mining, oil and gas, water, geotechnical drills like you put a bridge in with. And so my role is really to manage a team that's spread out throughout the country, and we take care of all the parts and service. I'm passionate about mining. I really think it's an important industry. To take a raw material out of the ground and process it, refine it, and sell a finished good, it's something that truly creates wealth for a country. After 3.5 years in the position that I was in, I've worked a lot on my teams and improving their skills and making sure they were getting the training, but I really didn't focus at all on me. One of the most important things about the Wharton program was I'm going to be with guys that actually have something to offer as far as management and other ideas. And so I chose Wharton specifically because of that. Almost the most important thing is what you learn from your classmates and the relationships and the network that you create with that group. The commute was beneficial to me because it gave me some isolation. When you're on the plane at 30,000 feet for 3 or 4 hours, you can get your reading done and you can study for a test. The Wharton program is designed to make it as smooth as possible. All the professors help draw out some real world problems that you're seeing right now today and make it applicable to the discussion. You can actually think back to that and apply some of the stuff that you learned on Friday or Saturday to work on Monday. We're bringing products in from a lot of different places around the world, and I could start off in the morning with phone calls to Sweden and finish the day talking strategy with my boss, or I could be talking about a customer issue and late at night on a Friday trying to figure out how to get an engine to a machine in West Virginia or Kentucky. For manufacturing logistics, Texas makes sense. It's centrally located. It's an easy state to do business in. For me, it's a great place to live. I live on a lake. I enjoy swimming and pulling my kids on water skis. In the end, you're doing it because you want to be a more educated manager or a better businessman. I haven't been out of the program just 2 months. I feel like now I have this Wharton experience and education in my